happened?
He has a button on his head.
Look, see, this,
Okay, now your mics are going silent. And stand by for the show.
the Political Twist-Up Show is on the air.
No, it's not. My time was wrong. Stand by. I'm 30 seconds ahead. I was looking at the wrong clock. Stand by. That was not the start.
The Political Twist.
Okay, next time it'll be right. 15 seconds now. Here we go.
The Political Twist-Up Show is on the air, brought to you today by Clio Cultivation and by Hydro World stores with 5 locations near you.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray Direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. So you're a medical marijuana patient. You need a caregiver, or you need some assistance. Let me tell you who your answer is. It's the Ant Farm. They're mobile. They come out and help you. It's Metro Detroit's #1 mobile service for medical patients. They're safe, discreet, and convenient. It's the Ant Farm. Call them today, 888-369-3320, or check them out at antfarmcc.org. That's antfarmcc.org. It's the Ant Farm, 10 to 10 daily. Call for details, 888-369-3320.
The country is moving toward marijuana legalization. This guy in Indiana, Mike Pence, because he took so much money from the prison guard lobby.
Well, there you go.
He's making the penalties for having pot even harsher. Why? Because the prison industry,
right.
the prison industry is losing their customers if we legalize pot. That's how sick it is.
Yes.
Human bodies are the way they make their money, so they will keep people in prison rather than give up their graft.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
The majority of Americans now favors legalizing marijuana.
But it's public smoking, and, like Amsterdam, they don't like you to smoke in the streets there either. So.
It is still a federal crime to possess marijuana.
The answer is Extreme Viewpoint.
This is the Political Twist-Up Show. PoliticalTwistUp.com if you didn't know. It'll put you in the zone. Dealing with real issues, real relevant on the real radio. You're cooling out with the Political Twist-Up Show.
Live in Detroit, coast to coast in Michigan.
I'm breaking the law on TV. So what?
It's the Political Twist-Up Show. Welcome. Saturday afternoons, we come to you between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. PoliticalTwistUp.com, where you can hear us if you don't happen to have one of our radio signals. I'm Steve Green. With us in the studio, Ryan Bringold, and our co-host, Rick Thompson. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
So, I guess this program is really going to end up being a recap program of the Cannabis Cup, because there was so much. I mean, we got an hour out there. It's an event that's actually, ended up being for us 3 days and until 4 days long. The actual event itself was 2 days. The radio show happened on the first day of the event, and then the Cannabis Cup itself happened at the end of the second day. But there was so much going on, and you guys had an opportunity to see a lot more than I had an opportunity to see, and I figured we'd have a chance to kind of ferret through what was going on out there, because there was so much interesting stuff. Being that, this is the Political Twist-Up show, we end up talking about hot-button political topics, and I don't want to make every program about marijuana, but let me tell you what, there's been so much going on about that subject that, how can I not talk about this? I mean, honestly, really. When you look at the Hash Bash and then this Cannabis Cup issue happening, we've had some medical cannabis cups going on in the medical states for quite some time, but nothing like this.
Well, the THC Expo in Canada, which I believe we received an invitation to as
well.
No,
that's the Treating Yourself Expo.
Treating Yourself Expo, excuse me. Yep, I apologize. Treating Yourself Expo in Canada has been recreational for a long time, as well as medical. But not in the United States, I've never heard of anything like this at all.
Well, I mean, the Treating Yourself Expo, I would disagree. I would not call that a recreational fair. It's clearly, the name of it itself is called Treating Yourself.
Have you seen pictures of the event?
I have seen pictures of the event.
Okay, then that ends that conversation.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's a vapor room that they have, and pretty much that's the only.
Well, they have I've never been, so all I can do is base it on pictures. But the fact is, the U.S. Cannabis Cup was unique. For the first time ever, High Times Magazine's been able to have an event like that in Denver. It's the first time anybody's ever done this.
It's really not like this Denver thing, right? Though it's this Denver thing was
heaven, was crazy,
unique amongst itself.
It was heaven,
right? And again, for those that may not be familiar with why it was so unique, Denver is in Colorado. Colorado and Washington passed legalization laws in November of 2012. Which means that recreational smoking is allowed. However, at the cup itself, there were very strict rules. There were no sales, there were no transfers for remuneration that went on. It was very well controlled. During the entire weekend, Ryan and I talked about this previously. No police interactions.
Zero.
Very few.
It wasn't even a threat of anything.
No,
like
we had security walking around, in-house security. That was all you ever dealt with.
Right.
The vibe there was just so relaxing. I've never felt so comfortable in any event that I've ever attended.
And with all the thousands of people that were there, there was a minimal number of health-related emergencies. You would expect anytime you get 20,000 people together in one place that a couple people are going to have issues.
Is that what the toll was?
I'm ballparking, but I heard 17,000, 18,000.
Okay.
So those are the numbers I've seen tossed about on the internet.
I described it as human paste because it was so thick in there. You could not. I mean, you were squeezing through the door.
Steve and I both tried to get through a particular row on, I believe it was Saturday.
I was a jackrabbit through that row.
You were, but that's only because you're small and greasy.
Look, I made a good running back. You know what I'm saying?
Greasy.
In high school, they like to throw the ball to me because I could get through there.
There you go.
You did the job, that's for sure. But it was so
that
packed.
guy.
Right, get him.
Yep.
No, he's too fast. He's
also
too small. How do you get him?
I've also read
like a greased pig going through there.
Read on the internet that they turned a lot of people away because they just had reached capacity and they were not able to
But
honor.
I'll tell you what. My estimate would have been much larger, but I've got no good estimate for give me a jar of jelly beans and ask me how many are in there. I'd be like, a
lot.
I'd be way off. Yeah,
there's a lot.
So, but just looking at it from the outside, if you were flying overhead, because there were two entrances to the building, and on one of them, it wrapped around the front side of the building and then all the way up the other block to the entrance, which is way in the back on the other side of the street.
Right.
And then the other side of the building, it went down several blocks. I mean, It wasn't
Straight
a
down.
single file line. It was a thick line.
Oh,
I mean, it was
yeah.
like 4 or 5 people wide all the way down the sidewalk and around the corner on 2 sides of the building.
Tickets were going for $350, $400. I mean, that was the hottest ticket in the United
StubHub!
States.
On StubHub, eBay, a lot of those places. And there were actually 4 separate areas. There was a display area, the
Yes.
main display area where we were at, where the stage was at, which had, I would estimate, about 100 displays in it.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
the medicating area, the recreational medicating area, which had at least 40 vendors in
All
that.
big
Ryan and I spent there.
booths, all gigantic
Yep.
booths.
And then a
Odyssey.
smaller medical-only recreating area, which
Which
was
we
Sunday,
favored.
There was
which
a
we
little
certainly
tiny
did,
row in there, that
which,
little medicating
which was
area.
at least another 20 vendors.
But like, about that
and then the fourth area was the gigantic outdoor area, which itself also held at least another 100 vendors. So when you're looking
Yes.
at that,
Yeah.
it was a huge amount of retail space being utilized, and what it was so crammed full of people that you couldn't move. That's thousands.
You know, the thing that I thought was interesting, being that we all 3 of the people on this program are participants in the medical marijuana program. We all have our cards for the program.
I just mailed mine on the way
Oh,
here.
did you?
My
Did you?
renewal
Okay,
card.
so I take that back. One's in waiting.
No, renewal.
Oh,
I'm in
renewal.
renewal.
Okay, so he's on the program. So when we get out there, you know, Colorado doesn't have, like Michigan has, this reciprocity rule where you're supposed to honor another state's card if they have one.
They have a frowny rule.
It's a frowny. It is pretty much a frowny rule.
It made me
Right.
frowny.
You know, because Colorado's medical marijuana laws are so very different than Michigan's, and you know, I would say, as a whole, most of the other states, I think they stand out differently from all the
They're
other
very
states.
regulated.
Unique in several
Very.
characteristics, yes.
And you know, it's kind of exhibited in the fact that every single grow that's done for the medical program in the state of Colorado has cameras on it, lots of them, that are hooked directly to the state, monitored 24 hours a day. I think people in Michigan would actually freak out if they had that rule.
Well,
I mean, they would just flip.
It is. It's very restrictive. It's the most restrictive in the nation. What we did see in Colorado is the example of successful integration of a marijuana commerce into a regular society, though.
Right.
As we drove
Absolutely.
up and down the streets, folks, green crosses right next to pharmacies, right next to police departments. No one cared. It was unimportant to them, and there were no issues.
Clean, neat outsides.
Absolutely true. So.
And women and children and hospitals and churches all survived.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was nobody bursting into flame as they
Right.
walked by on the sidewalk. You know,
There was no spontaneous combustion, no explosions.
I didn't see
I
any
felt like I was
demonic
going to
figures.
burst into flame once or twice
Well,
there. But,
I
you know.
felt like I was on fire a little bit.
All right.
It was a fantastic event, though. The point being that
I have
Denver.
a physician you might want to stop.
Doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, stop doing that.
Yep, you should see a doctor about that. But
It was, yeah, like you said, it was a commerce integrated with everyday life, and it's safe, and people are happy. There's no issues.
you know, all those buildings that are rented. If you have a chance, take a look at Weed Maps, the map.com Weed Maps map of Denver, and just take a look at all the little dot pinpricks that are there, because it's full of hundreds of facilities of different kinds.
When you go over
Which
Denver
great
on the Weed
jobs.
Maps map, when you go over Denver, it's
Wow.
It's a bunch of eyebrows. It looks like a bunch of eyebrows are all packed together in this stamp-sized area that cover Denver, and as you expand over, you're like, oh my God, there's got to be 500. It seems.
Did you see the map when we were in that dispensary when you did an interview? There was a map by
Yes.
the Chamber of Commerce
A
and
large-
the city
a large
planner,
map.
and it was like Federal, and I can't remember the other street, but it was like those were the 2 main strips
Yes.
where, you know, they had most of the dispensaries, but they were still scattered.
Sure,
throughout.
they figured out where they wanted to try and push these businesses into, that kind of thing. But there's so much out there, and there's so much more to talk about.
The mountains.
Oh, well, we'll get to all of that. We'll talk about the mountains. We'll talk about the medicating areas. We'll talk about the vapor lounges. We'll talk about the hot chicks in the pictures.
Yeah.
Whoa. More to come on the Political Twist Up Show. Don't go away. The Political Twist Up Show.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's original cannabis formula nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray Direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's original cannabis formula nutrients. Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Benton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. So you're a medical marijuana patient. You need a caregiver, or you need some assistance. Let me tell you who your answer is. It's the Ant Farm. They're mobile. They come out and help you. It's Metro Detroit's #1 mobile service for medical patients. They're safe, discreet, and convenient. It's the Ant Farm. Call them today, 888-369-3320, or check them out at antfarmcc.org. That's antfarmcc.org. It's the Ant Farm, 10 to 10 daily. Call for details, 888-369-3320.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
At Clio Cultivation, the things that really matter are the best customer service, lowest prices, and a friendlier atmosphere. We share knowledge that will increase your harvest and happiness. Recently, a grower reported double yields in 8 weeks by following our methods of the Garden Sage. We also guarantee the lowest prices on every product every day. When you are here, just smile. Bad days don't exist anymore. Now offering complete 1,000-watt systems for $179, 8-light T5s $189, 16-inch wall mount fans $33.95, Exhale CO2 bags $28, 8-inch Raptors $199, 1,000-watt ballast $89.95, 1,000-watt lamps start at $50, and Happy Frog and Ocean Forest lower than $13.95. Call for details at 810-686-GROW or visit 11394 North Saginaw Road. Weekdays 10 to 7, Saturday 10 to 5. At Clio Cultivation, we know to see it is to believe it.
The Political Twist Up Radio Show. Welcome back to the Political Twist-Up Show just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. PoliticalTwistUp.com is where you can find us talking about the subject of the celebration of cannabis in the recreational spirit in Colorado and Washington as well. And for that matter, looking forward to the United States because I think it's coming. At some point, it's going to be a more broad blanket.
Yeah, there are so many states now that are jumping on the legalization bandwagon. Immediately after November's election, when Washington and Colorado successfully legalized, we saw interest in all kinds of states. Now there are a group of states on the East Coast. There are some additional Midwestern states, even some with have recently introduced bills too.
Chicago doing their decrim was huge. You know, that just made the Midwest a little stronger. If we could get the whole state to follow, that would be nice.
What I'm concerned about is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. I'm not a guy that is really overly skeptical about things. I'm concerned about facts on the ground as it relates to corruption in government. And this subject as it's related to that one. Because as these laws, initially when these things started happening in Colorado and Oregon and Washington State with the medical marijuana laws, these were people's initiatives. It happened here that way in Michigan. But now legislators' heads are being turned. These people are taking our ability to craft laws away from us. We need to act preemptively. And what I'm concerned about is money in the way of that.
Well, Steve, not every state has a petition process, and
Correct.
those that don't only have the legislative process to go through. So, in what way would you prefer those states to address?
No, I'm not talking about those states. I'm talking about other states where they do have legislative petitions actions available to them, and legislators are taking an advance in, they see what's coming down the pike, they see what's happened everywhere else in the country, and they're acting preemptively. My concern is that they're going to steal away from people and make it what the people wouldn't want it to be. Or restrict it in other ways, or be influenced by other money. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, anytime you enter the legislative process, you're influenced by other money, no doubt.
A lot of other money.
Especially on a federal level, but on each individual state, some are worse than others. Unfortunately, Michigan received a very bad rating on the corruption, on their integrity rating nationally by an organization. I can't recall the name of the organization right now, but we're not so fortunate here in Michigan to have a legislator that's very responsive to what the citizens want. After all, the Right to Work people put, 15,000 folks at the state capitol, and they still pass those laws. We put thousands of people there, and they still pass laws against us.
Here's the funny thing about those laws as they were passed. The governor's name's not on them. You know whose it is? The lieutenant governor. He wasn't he made sure he wasn't around to sign. He doesn't want his name on any of those pop bills, my belief. That's just my opinion. I've got nothing factual to back that up. Other than the fact that his name isn't on them.
Right.
He was conveniently out of the state. And I'm just saying, looking broader.
Lieutenant Governor Brian Kelly, right?
Right. You looked at it, looked at the sneakiness going on inside you reported in the CompassionChronicles.com about how the governor's 2014 budget has things in it that are kind of anti-program.
Well, there are two different issues here. First of all, the governor has attempted to remove the annual report that is required by law by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. That report talks about the number of patients, the breakdown by county, the number of people per ailment, and also the revenue, where the money is, where it came from. That report is required under the Act, and it's a voter-directed initiative. He's tried to eliminate that report 2 years in a row now, but this is not nearly as sinister as it may sound, because it's just part of a general red tape cutting program that he has. He tries to eliminate 30, 40 reports every year, it seems, from my research. So this is just one of those reports. However, it seems like if you're the governor's office, wouldn't you know that this is a voter-directed initiative and it requires a higher standard to alter it than other laws do?
Clearly.
I would think so, too.
As to the money in the budget.
Now, there's a second issue about the budget that affects the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, was initiated in the Senate. In the Senate Appropriations Committee, the second version of their Senate Bill 190 in Michigan for 2013 contains a provision that would allow LARA to spend up to $3 million of money from the Michigan Medical Marijuana Fund in order to give money to county-level law enforcement agencies for education on or enforcement of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act.
Which sounds innocent enough on its face, but
and
really,
the fund certainly has more than $3 million.
They're going to educate cops on how to bust you.
That's exactly what they would do.
Well, not only that, they're going to take the money that patients pay in to fund people to specifically target them down. Yes. Yeah. First of all, and there's no mechanism through which
Hunger Games. What? I'm just saying.
We had talked about this. I want to prepay for my, just pay up front a little extra so they don't kick in my door.
Yeah, I wish we could do that. Stop dynamic entry. That's what we should do, is stop dynamic entry on marijuana-related issues. There's no violence associated with our community.
It's wholly silly. And beyond that, dangerous and a threat to public safety.
During the Boston marathon bombing scare, when the militarized people went house to house, they shot several folks that thought they were being broken into by criminals and armed themselves. And then when the police officers saw that they had a weapon, they just blew them away.
Shot them. Right.
They settled for over $4 million. Women in a taxi, which I believe had 100 rounds fired at them in a taxi. This is two ladies. Just two women in a taxi cab or something, in a car.
Those police officers looked a lot like the military. I mean, they had assault vehicles
and without the military training, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be issued that type of equipment. Your reactions are bad. You're not used to it.
I'm not trying to get too far off of the topic of the event in Denver. But I just wanted to interject this thing about what was going on in Michigan, because I think it's important as it relates to this, freedom issue, as it relates to a civil rights issue, with regards to a plant that most people have deemed harmless.
Right.
And most of the people who have deemed it harmless have personal experience with it, so I think that they would seem more credible than those who would point away from scientific data that says that this is clearly not something that's going to hurt you.
Well, I disagree with that, Steve.
Okay.
Because I think the people that have the most involvement with marijuana are probably the people that may not be the most trustworthy to make the rules, because they would make the rules that would favor them and not take into account governmental needs and governmental desires.
I'm just saying that the people who tend to favor, advocate for, and would vote for legalization straight out, have personal experience. And the people who are in opposition many times do not have personal experience.
People who would vote for it, I understand that. No.
I would point towards California, though, with that comment. They had the opportunity to pass a legalization measure.
Yeah, that was a whole different measure, though, Ryan. That was a completely confusing subject, because we're leaving out the idea that there was infighting. There was a lot of infighting about who's in control of that money.
That I think was Ryan's point.
Exactly. That was, exactly the point. So.
And Washington State saw the same thing, too. Montana self-destructed because they had opposing forces. They couldn't marshal any resistance to their restructuring of their medical marijuana program, which shrunk it by 70%.
Well, and I'm afraid that that's going on here too. People infighting about there are people that are for these dispensary things. The local option bill 4271. It's a House bill going through the process right now, but I'm afraid it's never going to see the light of day in the Republican Senate controlled by Rick Jones.
That's a very big concern.
It doesn't matter how much they push this bill. If Jones doesn't hear it, he's the linchpin that stops it now. It's the death nail.
Yep, and that's the power that an individual committee chairman holds. They can either hear or not hear any bill that comes before them, and they don't have to do what anybody tells them to.
Rick Jones was on this very show on a day where we weren't even talking about medical marijuana. We were talking about guns and gun control, and he had to bring the subject up and then flash around the idea that he's only I'm not opposed to people having marijuana. I've seen him do it over and over again in recent days. I am not opposed to people who are in their dying days and their end stages of life having access to marijuana for medical purposes. That's just not what the program says, Mr. Jones.
Well, and he also used it as a sword against Representative Townsend, suggesting that because he supported marijuana legalization or marijuana decriminalization, that he must then completely buy into the gun lobby's arguments.
Jeff Irwin is issuing
just this week.
Just this week introduced a bill for decriminalizing marijuana across the state.
And that's a bipartisan bill with about 5 co-sponsors.
Again, I don't see it getting past the light of day of the Senate Judiciary. I just don't see it happening.
That's what drives me crazy, though, is the people. I mean, we know all the people in this state, are pretty much for that. The vote is on our side,
right?
But the government's still against it. Well, what about the will of the people?
Well, the will of the people is clearly being disregarded by the need of the government to continue to feed the machinery of our political justice system, our criminal justice system.
Grand Rapids. We just did a show on Grand Rapids.
Absolutely
they
true.
Voted it in. And they're fighting. I mean, these people live here. They pay their taxes here, and their vote just doesn't count.
And the people that they voted in are fighting them because the machinery that they are in charge of starves if this passes.
So it's disenfranchising voters. I mean, this whole thing's a mess.
Well, it's very true that sometimes you don't get your effort approved on the first try. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 different times. We've seen multiple years certain bills being introduced until they finally get passed. The motorcycle helmet law took them a long time to get that repealed. So this may be just number 2 in a 6-step process, but it's an essential process that we have to go through. So Irwin and the rest of them, even if they don't have a chance of success, I applaud their efforts in
I do too. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Absolutely, I agree.
4271, which is Representative Carlton's bill, the local option bill it used to be called. That's another one that may very well be stymied by the Senate, as Steve has mentioned.
Just don't see it getting past Jones.
But it's a necessary step that we have to take, and within the community, within the community, if we can find some sort of common ground between people that didn't have any common ground before, then we can build a coalition, and then we can be stronger next year.
It would take nearly every single other legislator in both houses to sing in harmony, hold hands, and do the Coca-Cola song or something to get him to change his mind. And he still has the power to say, tell them all no, screw you, I'm not going to listen to this.
Yeah,
there has to be something in it worth it. He's a horse trader, and I think you brought that up.
You're correct. You're correct. He can come around. He can be brought around. Look, he's clearly brought around by money and fame. Well, if he gets a chance to be on the television or the radio You dangle that chain, he's coming.
Remember that he also gets a chance to alter the bill, too, as it comes before the Senate subcommittee.
Correct.
He can introduce alterations to that legislation to make it more favorable to his position.
And he's done that successfully with the Walsh package of bills last year.
He may be interested in doing this simply so he has another opportunity to get in and adjust the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act.
I just see it doesn't. I don't even see it being heard. I don't even see it being picked up or heard.
It's a tough one to project. It's a tough one to project.
And so for that reason, as again, bringing this full circle as it talks, so we talk about the legalization of marijuana on a national basis. Michigan, I do not see getting anywhere close to that time until 2016. 2016 just seems to be the place where people are going to try and make that move. And for me, it's too long. I was just in Denver. I just don't know if I want to stay here to continue. Honestly, I'm just telling you.
Go to Florida for a week.
I'm not going to do it. Not going to happen.
You'll come back to Michigan with a smile from ear to ear, baby.
We are very fortunate for the blessings that we have in Michigan. Although we're not where we want to be yet, still
the fight goes on.
And we are the 9th most populous state in the United States of America, the 2nd most populous medical state.
How many people in the program right now do you think will still be in the program when the police and the law enforcement officials of this state continue to try and target and gut the participants of it?
The same number that register every year, Steve.
I don't agree. I think in 4 years you're going to see a lot less people registering because they're using it as an ability to target people, and they're clearly doing it overtly above where they said they weren't going to be doing that. And I think the more that happens, the more people won't register, the more people will rely on this flimsy affirmative defense. The affirmative defense is great, it's strong, but the problem is by the time you get to use it, it's cost you a ton of money and awful consequences.
It sounds like you're telling me that I should expect more police action than what I've seen already on this program. Is that what you're really...
I think there's going to be more of it. I think there's clearly going to be more of it. I don't see it happening in maybe Flint or Ann Arbor or maybe even in Grand Rapids or in Kalamazoo where I see it happening.
That leaves Oakland County.
I see it happening in small little places where they've got the opportunity to sit and target, investigate, and do the number crunching until it makes good horse sense money-wise for them to crack down on some of these people. I think they're going to target the doctors. Are they going to narrow that down so that you got none of your patients are bona fide? You're going to go in and do some of that.
They've been working on that for a while. Yeah.
And the same thing with the caregivers. I think they're the next gateway, the next access point past a dispensary where people can get their medicine. And I just think that they're going to target those people. They clearly have an opportunity to do this, and they know who they are, they know where they live, and they know what's going on.
But they don't know who they are, and they don't know where they live because they don't have access to the registry, Steve.
Well, so you say. I don't agree. I clearly think they do have access to the registry. In fact, I've seen it demonstrated before me by Rick Thompson.
Okay, so explain that. Explain you've seen it demonstrated
I've seen a police officer demonstrate how he does not need the information that you're suggesting in order to access that registry and get what he wants.
So, in other words, you've witnessed a violation of law.
I have.
Okay, so what are you going to do about that?
Nothing I can do about it.
Report it to the Attorney General's office.
I'm just telling you what I know the police have told me they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well.
So, there's just no feign to that at all. In any event, if you want to be a part of this conversation, I think we should certainly open up the phone lines because we've waited way too long to mention the phone number. 810-423-2350 if you want to call in and talk about either the recreational use, the medical use of cannabis nationwide or in this state. Or in any other for that matter.
If you were at the Cup.
The Cannabis Cup, if you were out there, we saw a lot of great people from Detroit.
Some GC3 shirts I saw in the crowd.
Oh, man.
You know.
That was very refreshing to see multiple states away, 2 time zones away.
Some Detroit Tigers?
Yeah, I got Tiger fans that laid medication on me, walked by our booth. It was cool. We had some good people.
Event.
The Tiger caps were crazy. Not even from Detroit were wearing the Tiger gear. They love the old English D.
I flew home. And let me tell you, the plane that I was on, they were using vape pens. It was medicating all the way home. I've never seen anything like that in my life. People literally were going through the TSA with oils and edibles, and they were on the plane.
And God bless them for doing it.
I love the TSA. They do a great job. I'm safe. Every time I've flown, my plane went where it was supposed to go.
You're a good man, Ryan. We had a lot of fun out there. And we're going to have some more on the Political Twist-Up Show. Come back with us. Join us in a moment. Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Benton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. You know, building your business starts with planning. Market planning, location strategy, competition, product availability. It's all very hard work, but none of it means anything unless you can get your customers to know about you. And you know, that's really the key right there, getting your customers to know about you. How do you do that? All that dedication goes to waste. The Multimedia Digital Network can provide you real-world, affordable solutions to your advertising needs. You get a rich environment for exposure potential where each listener is a potential client of yours. Unlike most advertising, targeted results. That's what you get with statewide exposure on shows like the Political Twist-Up Show. You can get started today and within your budget. Don't get short-sighted running a day-to-day of your business. Grow your business with affordable cross-platform advertising opportunities with the Multimedia Digital Network. Email sales@radioweedshow.com for details. That's sales@radioweedshow.com.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Are you a business that Michigan medical marijuana patients would be interested in? Here's an opportunity to list in the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory for free. People from all over Michigan come to the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory to find goods and services at local establishments. List yours for free by going to mmma.biz and click on Add Business. You can even choose to add features to your listing that add additional benefits. Grow your business. List it for free at mmma.biz. That's mmma.biz. The Political Twist-Up Radio Show.
Back in Detroit for the last half of the Political Twist-Up Show. We're here every Saturday from 3 until 4 o'clock, airing right now out of Detroit in both Flint and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Of course, you can always find us on politicaltwistup.com, airing live, and you can watch the tapes back right there. Both you can listen to the show in an audio form if you want to watch if you're brave enough to watch our videos.
They're the best. They're funny.
We're very funny.
Then that's also available at that place.
And usually fully clothed.
Hopefully. There's never been. Well, except now there was a girl behind us at the.
Well, there certainly was.
Yeah, there was a girl behind us. Well, she wasn't on the air. Well, she wasn't while we were on the air. I think we got some pictures of her.
Definitely got some
If you're interested,
body paint.
If you're interested in the lady without a top on that's got her top painted on, she's standing in the Political Twist-Up booth, and you can find those images, again, at politicaltwistup.com. If you don't see them on the page, you could click over on the Facebook link, and there's certainly lots of images over there. We're talking about the legalization of cannabis in a countrywide way and the medical use of cannabis in a statewide way, and in other states across the country. And so we were getting to the point of kind of rounding it back around to the cup itself. Now, we talked about freedom, the medication area. What I thought was interesting about the medication area, which was a very small strip. It was just a little alleyway next to the whole recreational area, because that's really what they were celebrating out there, was the recreational aspect. But the medication area, and you guys, either one of you get a chance to go to the medication?
Oh, yes.
We went to the other medication area at the end of the alley.
Okay, so in this place, they were not selling any kind of marijuana, even to patients of any kind. They had nothing going over the counter to anybody.
Nope.
except for samples. So if you know, they would have like their 3 top shelves or their 5 top shelves, and you pick what you want. They were handing pipes to people packed with marijuana. There you go. Have a pipe. Goodbye now.
They would even light it
Have
for
a good
you.
day.
Right. True.
I felt like the butterfly or the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. I had a big hose.
You clearly were the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
I was.
He was changing colors and everything. Like
from red to purple to white.
With the glasses right now, it looks very caterpillar-like.
And then also, you were talking about the dab zone. Tell us about the dab zone. Because you guys brought me over there, and then they had the peanut butter and the chocolate. I didn't even see that stuff.
This is the king of the dab zone.
Thank you very much. I certainly.
The king. I met 2 kings: the king of quality and the king of the dab zone.
Yeah. Well, obviously, a lot of the goals was to get people to appreciate the different dispensaries and the different flavors that they'd come up with. So they would have 7, 8 vaporizers set up on tables. You would just walk up, sit in the chair, and the person behind there would offer you 6 or 7 or 8 different types of wax, and you would select what you want based on what he talked about, and then he would just dab you right up. You would sit there, recover for a second or two, and then
small, medium, or large, sir.
Yep.
Small, medium, or large. Well, would you like a fry with that?
No, listen, and it's important because obviously, as patients, we can self-diagnose. We can self-dose rather. We know whether we want a big one, whether we want a little one. If it's the first of the day, if we've already been beat down and we're really kind of ragged.
Well, clearly, people are headed straight for the medication booth.
I started handing over my G-pen. I'm just like, could you fill this, please?
Yeah.
Fill her up. Well, we need a fill up, please.
And again, the whole thing that made this legitimate is the legalization out there, which allowed them to transfer from person to person but not sell, which meant that free samples were exactly allowed, which our Supreme Court has said is not true.
Let's run off to the phones. Got a call coming in from Commerce Township, Michigan. Mike, you're on the Political Twist-Up Show. Hello. Oh, there he is. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Mike, hello.
Hold on.
Oh, we just lost Mike.
We lost Mike.
So we were in the medication area and doing the dabs, and then the hot chick photos. I didn't realize that there were so many hot chick photos until I was reviewing the ones that Jerry Farnell, who works with the American Cultivator, and takes a lot of pictures for them.
There were hot chicks there?
Well, you had no idea. You missed them all, didn't you? Wow.
I have a guest in studio, so I didn't see any hot chicks.
I photoshopped you into several pictures of hot chicks, just to let you know.
Oh, they were all over. It was weed porn.
Well, and again, this is just like any other retail environment. If you go to a hardware show, they've got hot chicks. If you go to a car show, they've got hot chicks. The expo
Do
that
the hot chick wave.
The expo that we just came from was so much like a lot of other trade shows I've been to in other venues. It really shows how accepted we are and how mainstream we've become.
Okay, we got Mike back on the phone from Commerce Township. Mike, hello. You got a question?
This is our camera guy.
I just wanted to comment on. I was down at the Cannabis Cup. It was a good time. No events happened. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was a good time. Everybody seemed to have a good time.
What was your favorite thing?
No problems were had.
You were up on the stage there. I noticed that you and Ryan got each other. Ryan and Mike here were both cameramen for.
We made each other famous.
Our broadcast on the.
Right.
We did, not on the radio show, but on we streamed the cup itself for High Times Magazine on their front page, and we also streamed it on our page. And I believe the American Cultivator had it on their page. And you guys shot each other a lot. And I just noticed. I'm like, wait a minute, who's that? Oh, that's Mike.
We're trying to make each other famous.
Some great footage. I just got done watching that just the other day. The footage turned out great.
I saw Rory Gold.
It was a lot of fun down there, and not what I expected. I expected a lot less, to be honest with you.
You expected it was. You even expected it was going to be this much fun by any means.
We were talking about the dab tent.
It was twice as much I ever could have expected.
What did you think about the medicating area, the dab tent? We're here with the king of dabs. I got Rick to my right. He is the king of dabs.
He is the king. I will contest to that. I have video contesting to that.
Tell him why I'm the king, Mike.
He is Aqualung. The guy is amazing.
Isn't there a song about that?
Yeah, but it's not a
Jethro
flattering
Tull.
song. Not a flattering song, though.
It's really not. It's now, Mike, is Denver a place that you would aspire to go to just like move there?
Oh yes, it's beautiful. Like I said, all the people were very mellow, laid back. It was a very peaceful trip.
You didn't get a chance. Go ahead.
And beautiful on top of that. I didn't get to see nearly what I wanted to, but yeah, like I said, the people seemed friendly. The area is obviously beautiful. Yeah, I could very easily see that.
We had an opportunity to go check out the mountains and look at the cityscape from the mountains' perspective. What an awesome time that was. Even though I can tell you, I had this shirt on, and I bought, if you're looking on camera, I bought this $11
very thin hoodie,
micro thin hoodie at the local Walmart. Halfway there, when I realized I left my winter coat at home. So we were on a mountain in 30-degree weather with 40 mile an hour to 60 mile an hour winds, and I can tell you, I was an icicle. It was painful to stand outside, but we did many a times just to get the right picture.
We were very festive.
We were.
Well, I would say I heard it was well worth it.
Well, Ryan and I stood actually outside the guardrail, close to the edge there, to take a couple of crazy photos. And with the wind blowing
hanging
so
off
much,
the Trade Center photos. What?
I was a little nervous about getting that close to the edge at one point. So with the wind up there, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, because all it would take is the wrong puff, and it would be, tumble, tumble, tumble.
Yeah, what's life without risk?
The mountains. Michael, I want you to tell us about your experience in the medication area. Tell us, just a little bit about. You said it was what you underestimated. Tell us what you.
Very underestimated. It was. I was surprised at all the free medication, all the free edibles. It was almost surreal, almost.
It was like walking into a piñata, a medicated piñata, I would say.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So it was, and we had to go through several times a day just to make sure everything was operating correctly in there.
Yeah, that's exactly
it was
what
quality control.
Blowing out the microphone there. So I really honestly think I want to move there. I kind of want to move to Denver now. I knew this was going to happen.
I tell you what, at least I saw one place that the weather can change in a blink of an eye, like Michigan. I thought we were the only state that did that.
Didn't much care, I think.
Know otherwise.
Yeah, and every snowstorm that we ever had, snow was sideways. It was always windy.
Well, I'm just very grateful that the snowstorms that we did encounter were both before and after those 2 days.
There's a 7-10 party coming.
If you think about it, we got so lucky because we had 63-degree weather all 3 days, and or the 2 days of the show, and we could have been stuck with that snowstorm. And we got really lucky. The Denver got lucky. Everything worked out real well.
So you're going to hang out here until 2016 when they end up legalizing?
Mike's staying.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I wish it wouldn't take that long.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to stick around? We're going to wait until 2016? Yep. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Mike, for calling up the program. And thank you for coming out and helping us to stream the Cup, because we couldn't have done it without your help.
Oh, no problem. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity, and you guys all take care.
Great talking to you, Mike.
810-423-2350 if you want to call up and talk about the Cannabis Cup, or if you ask any questions about the program or the people out there. We did not get a chance to see the Snoop Lion.
We didn't. But, we saw a lot of other people.
I just wanted to talk about the Snoop Lion thing. So Snoop goes out there. He's being given a Lifetime Achievement Award. They have a separate admission to a separate place, and then he doesn't do a concert. They just basically presented him with his award.
That makes me not like him as much when you say things like that.
I don't know. I like the Snoop Lion, but I was disappointed. I think a lot of people were disappointed at that aspect.
But
I am.
Yeah, we don't know if Snoop Lion didn't perform to expectation, or whether the arrangement that was made for him was.
I don't even know that they were going to perform. I guess everybody paid for admission to go watch him get his thing.
It wasn't cheap either. That's what I heard.
So, and then we also had the thing with Chris. Do we want to talk about Chris's house?
Well, it's another
one
of those.
An excellent host.
Another one of those excellent examples of hospitality. And there's a commercial.
She's not quite there yet. But I'll tell you what, we'll come back and we'll talk about who Chris was and what Emerson Street in Denver was like. Because that was downtown. It was separate from the Cannabis Cup, but it's a nice backdrop. We'll talk about it coming up next on the Political Twist Up Show. It's the Multimedia Digital Network. Twist-Up Show.
At Clio Cultivation, the things that really matter are the best customer service, lowest prices, and a friendlier atmosphere. We share knowledge that will increase your harvest and happiness. Recently, a grower reported double yields in 8 weeks by following our methods of the Garden Sage. We also guarantee the lowest prices on every product every day. When you are here, just smile. Bad days don't exist anymore. Now offering complete 1,000-watt systems for $179, 8-light T5s $189, 16-inch wall mount fans $33.95, Exhale CO2 bags, $28. 8-inch Raptors, $199. 1,000-watt ballast, $89.95. 1,000-watt lamps start at $50. And Happy Frog and Ocean Forest, lower than $13.95. Call for details at 810-686-GROW or visit 11394 North Saginaw Road. Weekdays 10 to 7, Saturday 10 to 5. At Clio Cultivation, we know to see it is to believe it.
The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. You know, building your business starts with planning, market planning, location strategy, competition, product availability. It's all very hard work, but none of it means anything unless you can get your customers to know about you. And you know, that's really the key right there, getting your customers to know about you. How do you do that? All that dedication goes to waste. The Multimedia Digital Network can provide you real-world, affordable solutions to your advertising needs. You get a rich environment for exposure potential where each listener is a potential client of yours. Unlike most advertising, targeted results. That's what you get with statewide exposure on shows like the Political Twist-Up Show. You can get started today and within your budget. Don't get short-sighted running a day-to-day of your business. Grow your business with affordable cross-platform advertising opportunities with the Multimedia Digital Network. Email sales@radioweedshow.com for details. That's sales@radioweedshow.com. Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Benton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. The Political Twist-Up Radio Show.
PoliticalTwistUp.com is where you can find us. Steve Green, Ryan Bringold, Rick Thompson, all in the studio in beautiful, what is this, Troy, Michigan? Is this, what is this?
No, Royal
Oak. That's Royal Oak. Why was Troy, Royal Oak, Birmingham? They all confuse me after a while. With us on the phones is Barbara from Grand Rapids. Barbara, hello. You're on the Political Twist-Up Show.
Okay, I wanted to know why judges can legally allow people that echo is something else. How can judges deny people the benefit of a law? Say we won't let that apply in this case when the case depends on that law.
What you're referring?
Okay, why doesn't the judge appoint an attorney if somebody cannot afford one? Because he didn't do it.
Do you have a particular case that you're referring to? Are you just referring generally?
No, I'm talking about John Placencia and what happened to him. He's sitting in jail right now because the judge said that he's in contempt of court because he couldn't give him an address. And why do you have such an echo like that?
You probably still have your radio on or your computer speakers on.
It might be on the phone as well. I apologize about if you've got an echo to deal with.
I just shut the...
I tell you what, Barbara...
No, I don't have the radio on.
That's okay. I understand.
I'll try to ignore it.
No, that's okay. Listen, Barbara, I want to get your name and phone number off the air. We'll talk to you off the air about your situation and try and help to answer. Because it sounds like you got a specific a question about a specific individual, and I don't want to get into all of that on the air. Let's try and help you off the air. And so if we can get the Dave Scott, our show producer, to help to take that information. I'd love to get her question answered off the air. Sounds like people sometimes really have a difficult time interfacing with the legal system when it comes down to the lawyer-judge thing.
Well, it sounds like with the lack of address, too, the judge may have seen that as defiance, when in actuality, people may be between homes. There's lots of situations nowadays.
Well, and people, I mean, even people who are experienced from a defendant standpoint in court often just don't get what the courts, how they operate, what they mean, what they're doing. And I think Barbara's question is one of those kinds of questions where they just don't understand the process involved. It is very confusing, and it's very expensive to get somebody to explain that confusion to you or to decipher through it.
I know just before break we were going to talk about Chris, I think.
Yeah, Chris is on Emerson in Denver, and he invited people over. Look, I'll tell you about Chris.
His place is called the King of Quality.
He has a business called the King of Quality, and he had a booth at the event.
Yes, he did.
And I didn't know that he had a booth at the event until after he had invited us into his home, and it was kind of an open invitation to anybody that wanted to come. I didn't see a single person turned away at the door, and I didn't see a single person offend him while he was there. It was very hospitable. This is a guy who moved to Denver, Colorado, according to his own testimony, from Florida.
Yes.
The oppressive place that you were mentioning, Ryan, as you were just recently there saying how just pack of papers will get you a jail
You don't
sentence.
even say marijuana, cannabis, or weed.
If you got a pot T-shirt, you're getting frisked down, and we're going to have to, look at you like you're a nudist or something.
They wouldn't let me out of the house with it.
See, that's his friends wouldn't go outside in Florida. So that just gives you the perspective. I've never been of that mind. I'm not a big guy that wears around that kind of insignia stuff. I just like plain clothing. I don't like to wear a lot of
shirt.
Look at his shirt. I was out there. I was there.
But yes, Chris came from Florida, right? Yes.
Right.
So he comes from Florida, and we get to this place in Colorado, and he wants to just open the doorway and share marijuana with people. And clearly he had access to, he's either growing or a grower for somebody, but he's got an abundant amount of it. And there was a chalice full on the table, and he came up as we sat down in his living room, beautiful living room, told us that, look, he whispered in my ear, if there's flour on the table, please consume it at your will. And that was the pleasure that he was getting from the entire affair, is that he could just invite strangers off the street to come and consume cannabis, no questions asked, no illegality attached.
Well,
and what a great concept that is.
Well, he sure got a benefit out of that, too. He didn't expect it, but because we were there, I happened to call some other Michiganders that were there, Daryl Stavros and Laith Al-Sadi. Most of you know Laith Al-Sadi is a guitar player. He's played at the Hash Bash for 2 years in a row. And some other folks from Michigan. We gathered them all together over at his place. We kind of had a very big Michigan contingent, and Laith played for, half an hour, 45 minutes that first night. And
got all of that on tape, incidentally, and I'm going to cut together a video piece this week. By this time next week, I'll have a piece up on politicaltwistup.com that reflects all this stuff that we're talking about as it relates to Chris and the King of Quality and Laith and his music playing and the people that were there.
Yeah, but
what a great time.
We had Rory Gould was there also. Captain Kirk was there, too, and Captain Kirk had a fantastic costume that he wore at the Cup also. He was the human rolling tray, and he claims hundreds of people used him for that purpose during the course of the weekend.
Now, there's a lot of people we got to thank, and amongst them are the people that were responsible for helping us to get out there for paying for our trip. But I want to do a special thanks to them next week. Right now, I just want to kind of go over and talk about the people that were there and the people that made this possible from just an event standpoint. Got to thank Mike Jehoniak from High Times, also Dan Skye,
executive editor of High Times.
Because without their assistance, and those are the guys who are basically principally responsible for putting this event together. What a great job they did!
Well, and
accolades and congratulations to those guys for what a fantastic, outstanding job they did.
Trouble-free, trouble-free, biggest
just
event.
stunning out there.
Fantastic event, and Dan, of course, is a friend, and he was by our booth several times.
Who else? Well, there's a bunch of them.
Let's thank the American Cultivator.
Hillary Delaney at the American Cultivator.
And Jerry Farnell also.
Jerry was a great driver on our event and also took a lot of pictures and supportive in many roles.
She was a crew member for the Political
She really
show
was.
while
She
we were
clearly
there.
was.
Yep, and not only that...
caretaker.
Yeah, caretaker, too. The Exto Center, the staff there was excellent for us. I know they may never
Those
have a
guys
chance
were
to watch this
fantastic.
program, but what a great...
It's Cassidy.
Cassidy. And some of the gentlemen that helped us with rigging and lines and everything, it was fantastic. We were there 24 hours before the event began, and we used almost every one of them to get everything together, and it went off very, very well.
Other big names. So we also got to thank Matt. What's his name?
Shotwell.
Matt Shotwell from
Weed Country.
Weed Country on the Discovery Channel.
Correct.
And
he did an
his
interview
producer,
with us.
Kip.
Kip, I didn't meet Kip. I met Kip for like 2 seconds. He's like, hey, do you want him or not? And I'm like, yeah, let's bring him over. What a great time that was. I wasn't expecting that interview, by the way. I thought we were going to get Mike Budin, who was the other guy. He was the guy that's doing the growing up there.
Right.
Who else we got to thank? There's also, I'm gonna get spanked now for not thanking everybody.
We had the ladies from High Pro out of the Netherlands.
What about the guy over at 3D Dispensary in Denver?
They were fantastic for us too.
Alex.
Yep.
Alex, yeah, he was very cool.
We had the people that invented the transdermal patch for cannabis. They were on our show as well.
That's awesome. The Dixie Elixir people.
Dixie Elixirs folks were good to us as well.
I know I'm going to be missing stuff. We all got sick while we were in Denver, by the way. Thanks a lot, Denver.
Thank you, Winter Storm Zeus. We're blaming you.
Who else? There's people. I know there's people.
Well, Keith Stroop from Normal was friendly to us all weekend.
Ross
long.
Belleville. We saw Ross
Belleville.
Oh, what about as we were on our way out, John Doe from the John Doe Radio Show. Tim Martin. Thank you, Tim.
They were very hospitable to us on our last day there. Took us in, showed us the studio, introduced us to a couple of cup winners. We got some pictures taken with a couple of guys with the cup.
How about the state of Colorado for closing the interstate on our way out?
Well, possibly saving our lives because it is about 50 miles of Kansas open highway before you get to another road.
Well, and mind you, almost every vehicle was in the ditch on our way.
We did a ditch rescue on the way out.
We did do a ditch rescue. I forgot about that.
Yep, but we saw cars upside down. We saw a UPS or a FedEx truck on its side. Lots of bad situations.
We have to thank the Scenic Front Yard Mule Deer. I think those guys
those were cool too.
Those guys were very cool.
Yep, but most of all, I think all of the participants at the Cannabis Cup in Denver, really, what a great event, and thanks for being so cool.
Looking forward, gonna do the Dream Cruise this year.
Dream Cruise.
Probably right out in front of this very building, or perhaps on the roof of the building.
Wouldn't
that be cool? Watch out, Royal Oak.
Babe Roof.
We're trying to get in to do the Balloon Fest out in Howell. That's a great event. If you've never been hot air ballooning,
we're getting you a parachute.
We're gonna try and get. No, I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna try and get somebody up in the booth, up in the balloon, reporting back, doing live shots from the balloon on video. That's a technical challenge. And then also, what else?
Jello shots from the balloon would be better.
Might get a chance to go up to Treating Yourself Expo out in Toronto at the end of May, and then of course we're going to Boston. In September. So a lot of stuff coming up. That's all the pot-related stuff, and then
Cedar Point on the 9th. Gatekeeper.
We're going to be doing the media thing. We'll see you next week on the Political Twist Up Show at politicaltwistup.com and in Grand Rapids and Flint.
Multimedia Digital Network.